Good morning, sixth graders. Hope you are all doing awesome today. Happy Thursday. We're going to go ahead and get started. Here are the student announcements for today. The canned food drive, the book fair are all still going on. So all of this information can be accessed in your slide deck, and you just need that way you can use the links and things like that. Our book talk today is called Matched by Ali Condi. It is right here. It is a science fiction book, so it's set in the future, and it's set in a world where everybody's lives are kind of perfect. They're matched with the perfect job, the perfect life partner. Everybody lives a nice long life. So this girl, Cassia, she's always trusted her society to make the best choices for her. And her best friend is chosen as her match, but before the screen that's showing it goes blank, she sees a glimpse of another face. And so that starts her on a path of questioning the decisions of the government and things like that. So anyway, it's really good. It's really interesting. It's kind of a love story. It's a trilogy, so this is the first one in the series. Okay? So moving on, today we are going to continue working on our on our papers, our personal narratives, our stories. Okay, so today we're going to do another mini lesson. You also are going to do an editing checklist where you go through and make sure that you've done everything you need to do. That can be found in Otis. So let's go ahead and get started. So editing and revising your personal narrative, that is still what we're working on. Okay, and we've already gone over that. So today we're going to write on show, not tell. Good writers show rather than tell by creating an image for the reader's mind rather than just telling them in exact words. So it's all about having your reader get a good picture in their mind of what you're talking about. Okay, and then especially the climax of your narrative should be the biggest moment with the most detail. Okay, so right here, we have some examples of show, don't tell. So show is show your character's traits and feelings by their actions. So example, Sharon's little brother, Jerry, is a spoiled brat. That's telling. Actions and descriptions, Jerry's brown eyes narrowed into slits, and he stomped his foot as he demanded the candy. That is telling us how Jerry behaves, so that's showing us how he behaves and showing us what the kind of person he is. I don't care what you say. I want some candy, and I'm going to have it, yelled Jerry. Jerry's speaking there also shows the kind of person he is. And then Mom would have a fit if I acted like that, thought Sharon. So Sharon, with her thoughts, is showing what a brat that Jerry is. Okay, so here are some other ones. This is telling. Brian was angry. He started to yell. Now let's show that Brian was angry. Brian pursed his lips and clenched his fist into tight balls. Try as he might, he could not contain himself. Within seconds, he erupted like a volcano. Okay, so that shows that he was angry. And when he erupted, that's when he starts yelling. Bailey was happy. A gigantic grin spread across Bailey's face, and her eyes lit up like the sky on the 4th of July. Okay, so that's showing how happy she was. Bella was shocked. Bella couldn't help herself. Her jaw dropped to the floor as her eyebrows shot towards the ceiling. She was excited to see her dad. When she saw her dad enter the gym, she sprinted across the room, jumped into his arms, and buried her head in his chest. That gives all these things give your reader an image instead of just saying what's going on. And then the last one, he felt sad. An ache started deep in his stomach. He turned away as his eyes welled up with tears. Okay, so those are the differences between showing and telling. So for your paper, you might want to go through and look and see where you talked about how a person felt, and then try to show how they felt rather than tell. All right, so go back to the climax of your narrative and show, don't tell your reader about the biggest moment of your story. Highlight your climax in orange. Okay, and then you can go back to other parts of your story and do the same thing. but that's the one that you really need to do. Okay, editing checklist. Before you click submit on your final draft, go into Otis and complete the editing checklist narrative assessment. Okay, so you're going to make sure you do that, and you have until tomorrow though. So you can work on this tomorrow too. You don't have to submit it until tomorrow. All right, so that is the end of language arts time for today. We're going to go ahead and head into social studies. We are still talking about Mesopotamia. Today we're talking about the Chaldean Empire, and it's pages 54 to 56 on your book. Tomorrow we are going to be having a Mesopotamia quiz on these empires, and you will be able to use your book and the notes that you're taking during the slides. Okay, so make sure you have your notebook out as we start some new slides today. And it's really important that you always, especially, write down the vocabulary, okay? And if you missed any, you can always click here in the slide deck on these different slides, or you can go back to our slide decks this week to revisit. Oops. Okay, so, all right, so the next empire we're talking about is the Chaldean Empire. So why was Babylon an important city in the ancient world? Okay, and here we have the area of the new empire we're going to be talking about. The Chaldean Empire developed because people did not like being ruled by the Assyrians. Remember, they were really mean and hardcore and kind of vicious. Okay, so this empire was better and had a lot of accomplishments. So the Chaldeans and other people in the regions, they take over and defeat the hated Assyrians. The Chaldean Empire is better and is centered around Babylon. They experience many new achievements. So Babylon is one of the greatest cities of ancient times. It's referenced a lot in the Bible, and so you might have heard of it before. Astronomers were people who studied the heavenly bodies. They mapped out the stars, the planets, and the phases of the moon. 7 days a week, the moon phases and sundials. So these are all accomplishments of the Chaldean Empire, okay? And obviously things that are still important to us today and that we've learned a great deal from. So you can read about all of that in your book. Okay. And then there's the fall of the empire, because just like all empires, and I have a little mistake right there, just like all empires, this empire too eventually fell. So the king that was a really strong king for the Chaldean Empire, Nebuchadnezzar, died. And after that, a series of weak kings ruled the Chaldean Empire. So they had a bunch of weak kings like in line, then they were having poor harvest and slow trade. So that continued to weaken the empire. Then in 539 BCE, the Persians recognized the Chaldeans had lost their strength and leadership. And the Persians took advantage, captured Babylonia, and made Mesopotamia part of their empire. Okay, and that's all in the book. They were kind enough to allow the Chaldeans to keep much of their culture and things like that. They didn't try to convert them exactly how they were and stuff like that. So anyway, that was how that empire fell. And then we'll continue on with this information next week too. Okay, but that's like kind of the empires. So anyway, tomorrow you should have read all of your book reading. There's just a couple pages a day. And then tomorrow you're going to have an assessment in Otis to work on about the empires. Okay, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.